Microsoft announced a little thing called Xbox Game Pass a few months back. They're actually adding more games this July. So actually, I don't know. Are they adding them tomorrow? Is it July 1st?
It's
Do you know if
July.
they're adding
Yeah.
them?
Well, you know what? I don't know that they actually said, but they said they're adding it in July. I would assume it was July 1st. Go
Okay,
ahead. Go ahead and kind of. I'll double check.
sure. Well, in July, there's already over 100 games, but in July they're adding Dead Island Definitive Edition, Resident Evil 6, F1 2015, The Flame and the Flood, Guacamelee Super Turbo Championship Edition, Bard's Gold, and Monaco, What's Yours is Mine. Now, like I know half those games and they're good. I enjoy Dead Island, enjoy Guacamelee. I've always wanted to play Flame in the Flood. I've heard good things about that game. So it's great that they're starting this service, this new. It's not streaming. I mean, you pay $10 a month
Yep.
and you get over 100 games you can download and play. Now, there is a little bit of a catch. You don't know how soon the games are going to fall off. That's the
true.
only problem with the system. But I guess let's just kind of talk about Xbox Game Pass because this could be something huge. I mean, this could really change the way people buy and play video games. And I know Phil Spencer has this great plan for where he sees it going, but I thought today we can kind of talk about where we see it going.
Sure.
So, first off, just the first question, at $9.99 a month, do you think Xbox Game Pass is a good deal?
So so this is kind of what I wanted to really kind of jump into on this topic because I've subscribed to it since launch. Because I'm part of the preview program, I actually got like 2 or 3 weeks early. I got to get in. Also, before we get too far, just to confirm, the new games are added on July 1st, so that's
cool.
when they are coming. So I jumped right in, and I have now 1 month in have canceled my subscription.
Oh, really?
Now, and this is kind of why I wanted to talk about this because I don't think it's a bad deal at all. I just think that maybe I'm not the audience for it, or at least not right now. I do think that this is based on what Phil said. I do think that this is going to be really big for Xbox and for Xbox fans. But what I've found is most of the good games that are in the pass right now, I already own.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so what I ended up doing was I played a couple of indie games. There's a handful of horror games that I never have played and never will play, so it's just kind of a waste. But even like the new games that came out, like they added Dead Island, which I have no interest to play. They added Resident Evil something.
Resident Evil 6. I just
Evil
read through the
6.
list, man. Were you not paying
Yeah,
attention?
I couldn't remember the number. I get them all confused. But yeah, Resident Evil 6, which I'm not gonna play. So so let's go back to the question you asked. I do not think $10 is bad. Whenever this was first announced, me and you were just kind of talking about it. If you do the math on it, right, that's $120 a year. So that's basically 2 full price retail games in a year. So I mean, if you put the math on it, so you're basically you're sacrificing getting 2 extra full price retail games to have this library of games that are available every single month. But what I feel like is that this is really going to focus in on a more of a casual market, and I think the best indication of where it is and where it could go is going to be the best direct parallel is going to be with Netflix. And the reason that I say that is because when a movie comes out that I want, when Rogue One came out on Blu-ray, now Rogue One actually comes out in July on Netflix, but when it came out on Blu-ray, I went out and bought it day one because I'm going to buy a Star Wars movie. I'm going to buy a Marvel movie. I'm going to buy a Disney movie. The movies that I like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy them on either 4K Blu-ray or just Blu-ray if they have it. Whereas the average person, my mom, or even probably my uncle, or maybe coworkers of mine that aren't huge Star Wars fans, they're not going to rush out and buy Rogue One because it's just not their thing. Whereas if they're browsing through their Netflix one day and they're like, oh, here's that new Star Wars movie, let me check it out. And so that's where I think Game Pass really is a great value. If you're coming into the Xbox ecosystem and maybe you're not a hardcore gamer, or maybe you don't have 5, 6, 10 different franchises that you really want to follow, and you're just looking for games to play, to be able to pay $10 and have this huge library of games that you can choose from, I think is a huge value. So I think the $10 price is not a bad price at all. Actually, I'm surprised it's not more.
Mm-hmm. I kind of agree with what you're saying, because for me right now, there's nothing in there that I don't own that I would want to play,
Mm-hmm.
right? But reading that list off, I'm like, well, the Flame and the Flood's in there. I've always wanted to play it. I know I enjoy Dead Island, but I never purchased the remaster,
Yeah.
right? So I'm thinking maybe just for 1 month, I'd pay for 1 month.
Exactly.
I'd play Flame and the Flood, and I'd play Dead Island.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be good. Cancel my subscription.
Yep.
I got my $10 worth. It's like renting a game, right?
Exactly.
Or like GameFly.
Yeah. Which is great. I mean, in a perfect world, I almost wish like this was $20 a month and it was every single game in the library. Because I
don't know, man.
Okay, so hear me out. As long as you kept your subscription and you could still play the game, mm-hmm. How many games do you honestly play today that you bought last year? And I mean, you don't have to answer the exact number, right? Mm-hmm. But like last year we bought Gears of War 4. When was the last time you played Gears of War 4?
Probably last time we co-opted it.
Okay, so you paid $60 for that game, mm-hmm. which we played for what, maybe 8 hours?
That was October?
Yeah, something like that, yeah. You played maybe for 8 hours, mm-hmm. right? And now that $60 is gone.
Right.
Now, imagine if you paid $20 a month, and when Gears of War 5 come out, you have access to it day one, download it and play it. And then when you're done, there's something else in that gap to fill it, right? So, and I'm not saying sure. $20. I would obviously love for it to be $10. I'm just saying that I feel like video games as a whole are made to be played and then moved on. I mean, I don't play a lot of games from 2, 3, 4 years back. I just don't. Now, sure. I would like the ability to every now and then, if I'm like, oh, you know what? I kind of have the itch to jump into Skyrim and just run around and hack some people up in a town, right? Mm-hmm. I like the ability to be able to do that because I own the game, but it isn't like I'm like, man, I can't wait to get home tonight and play more Skyrim, or whatever the game is. Now, there are some people that are that way with a game, that will put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours into Fallout or into Skyrim or something like that. So for those people, the game's mm-hmm. available for them to buy and have it if they want it. But for the average gamer, I just feel like we are much more in the age of just playing something until the story is complete or until we've had our fun with it and then moving on. So for me, the value is I would rather give it to a service where I have a library of stuff rather than just have to pick one game that month, right? If a game's $60 and we hit November and I'm like, I only have $60 to spend this month, where am I going to put it? Rather than sure. Now I have $10 or $15 a month that I just put to the service, and I have access to 20 games or whatever it is. So,
right. The only thing I see as a downside to that, though, I never think to put new games on it, because the reason why would they put all these new games on this service for $20 when they could charge you $60 a piece? I mean, because making video games is expensive.
Sure.
Now, what actually could be really cool is if it was like if they did it for indie games, right?
Yeah.
Like the cheaper games, like the $10, $20 games, like $20 a month. Here's a big old, treasure trunk of indie games.
A treasure trunk.
A treasure trunk of indie games.
That's something.
Right.
You know the old saying, man, I sure wish I had a treasure trunk of money. I wish I had a treasure trunk of gold. Yeah, that's cute.
But Let me lose my train of
Let
thought.
me. Sorry. So while you're thinking, let me just say this. No, hang on. So the one thing that I do think that Phil wants to get to, and the one thing that I think will bring value to this, is I do think original content needs to come. Right. So so Netflix for a long time, they were just a DVD only service, and they made this jump to streaming. And for a long time, it was just streaming, and then they started having Netflix originals. Now we have things like Daredevil and Jessica Jones, and we have Glow, which just came out, which is fantastic, and Stranger Things, and these great shows that you can only get on Netflix. I mean, I would like to see smaller, studios, like you said, maybe even indies, develop Xbox exclusive games that you can only get through Game Pass. Like that would be a great way to not only fund those games for the developers, and not only to be able to give them control of being able to do what they want to do exactly with it, but furthermore, it would give more added value to a service like that.
Sure. And to kind of kick off, off that point, what you're saying, like Netflix comparing it to another service. When you talked about new games earlier, I was thinking, what if they do what EA Access does? If you've got Xbox Game Pass, when Gears of War comes out, the next Gears of War 5, you can play it a week early.
Great.
Or, something like that. I can see them doing that where they won't give you full access to the new games, but if you have Xbox Game Pass, you're going to get some kind of benefit for new games too. Because like you said, for me and you, Xbox Game Pass, at least as it is right now, is not speaking to us.
Yeah.
Because as hardcore, Xbox gamers, we have all the big stuff we want, right? And now I can see someone, younger kids, or people with not that much expendable income, they'll go with this because you get a lot of games for $10 a month. I mean, over 100 games. Which is awesome. But I agree. Once they get exclusive content in there, because Phil said it, he wants it to come. So I do think exclusive content is coming.
For sure.
But I also think if they do that extra cherry on top saying, hey, if you have Xbox Game Pass, Microsoft games are going to be, you either get them, a day early, or you get, into betas, or do something to bring in more people.
Yeah, I agree. That's good.
So, okay, guys, what do you think about Xbox Game Pass? Are you a fan of it? Do you currently subscribe to it? If you're watching the YouTube version, let us know down in the comments. Like I mentioned earlier, you can also hit us up on our Facebook page. Just look up the Xbox Dive community page. Or if you're in the live chat on Mixer right now, mixer.com/Xbox Dive, let us know in there.